r/ask Reddit. What are some of the worst business practices you've seen? In the town I grew up there was this guy who ran a music store, the kind that sells musical instruments. He would sell brand new stuff at 50-60% discount. Hell, a friend of mine haggled a brand new Gibson guitar off the shelf for maybe 75% off. I bought several cymbals off him dirt cheap. For you drummers out there, Sabian AA, not crap. Turns out, his family was filthy rich, old money, and running the store was his hobby. You know, just something to do. He would sit there, smoke, discuss which zapper record was the best, and basically give stuff away. It was awesome, and terrible business. Honestly, that sounds like a glorious way to live if you're rich as duck and don't care. I use the term business loosely, but I once did graduate research with a professor who was in the process of trying to get a major auto manufacturer to invest in our lab. They liked us, but wanted an example of some of our work. So rather than directing them to some publications of ours, my professor gave them a zip file containing all of our recent unpublished research, including the basis for a patent application. My professor was shocked when they just kept it. What a moron. IDK, how you get to that point in life not knowing that car companies play dirty. I heard this one from a friend. She worked at a dog kenneling business that would tour prospective clients through the front of the building and show off how each dog would get its own indoor/outdoor run area and specialized attention, etc. Then when Thanksgiving and Christmas came and they got more bookings than they could accommodate, they set up cages and stacked kennels in a back room, and people were paying big dollars thinking that their dogs were in a nice roomy pen while the business crammed as many dogs as they could into these basic cages. It was shameful. Any company service that allows you to sign up using the internet with minimal verification but requires you to either produce it, bills, proof of address, or show up in person to cancel that service. If I can set it up via the internet, I should be able to cancel using the internet too. I worked at a restaurant that wouldn't let people get a refund on their food even though there was a cockroach in it. Instead, they offered a 10% discount on the food as per their policy. Needless to say, this restaurant no longer exists. Gosh, how many cockroaches did they serve? In the short time I worked there, it happened 4 times on my shift and several others when I wasn't working. Owners did very little in the way of maintenance. It wasn't in a good location and the customers weren't rich by any means. I guess they just got lucky until they served a roach to the wrong person. TBHIDK, the exact reason they shut down. Trying to get employees to quit. My managers at fast food didn't want to keep long-term employees due to having to pay them more, and firing them means unemployment costs. Us quitting means no unemployment and not having to give raises. I used to serve at a restaurant where we wore pagers that buzzed us when a table's food was ready. Good idea, right? Well, the owners had the policy that you had to immediately go pick up the food no matter what, and that included if you were in the middle of taking another table's order. They said that people understand and are cool with it. Of course they weren't though. Every time I stopped taking a table's order and went and got the food, they were totally pissed off. I could not believe the owners did not understand why literally no other restaurant on the planet does it that way. I can't imagine that anyone was understanding or cool with it. I worked for a big car rental company in the returns department. They would push us to find and charge customers for any new damage on their cars by awarding bonuses on top of our monthly salary. We were given mirrors to look for scratches under the cars where customers would normally not have checked before they rented the car, often leading to heated arguments over if it really was their fault or not. The company did not care either way and made us charge their insurance deposit if they refused to pay. The daily verbal abuse and stress from being sandwiched between my managers and angry customers has definitely left a mark on my mental health, and I will probably never work in the traveling industry again. I briefly worked at a FedEx shipping center. The first hour of orientation was basically, if you even think the word union will end your ducking bloodline. First job ever was at Walmart. They too had an anti-unionizing video during orientation, to the tune of "organizers just want to take your money." My wisdom tooth operation was ducked up, which they under-anesthetized me for, so I went back 2 days later. They admitted their fault and that they would fix it there and then, but it would cost me equivalent $500. I said no way, this is your screw up. They eventually agreed. I took the woozy pill they gave me as it was gonna be big work in there. Operation went as planned, and while I was not even with it they charged me the money, then booted me out onto the street. I was almost hit by a bus as I had no awareness of anything. Found it all out later on from a friend who happened to be passing and saw me playing with cars on a dual lane road, and B, an acquaintance in the waiting room who had watched me pay. Ironically, I was there due to their daughter's recommendation. Reminds of when my nana got work done at Aspen Dental. She was told her insurance covered it. Well, weeks go by and she gets a bill from the dental place. They said the insurance didn't cover it, so she had to pay, which she did. A week later, her insurance contacts her asking if she was going to pay. Why did she ask them to pay? Turns out that the dental place was lying and trying to double bill everyone. My nana turned over all the evidence to insurance company and they raised holy heck at the dental place. They immediately refunded my nana's money, with apologies saying that they made a mistake. Major banks sorting your transactions when you have a low balance in such a way to maximize overdraft fees. Honestly, overdraft fees in general. Many banks will charge you an overdraft and deny the transaction, because apparently it costs them $35 to deny a transaction. Not as bad as some of the practices in this post, but a local coffee shop owner near me pressures customers into bringing their own cups. Normally I wouldn't mind this, as hey, we all got to do our part to save the environment. Thing is, the owner doesn't do it for the environment, he does it because he doesn't want to buy takeaway coffee cups. I heard him argue with another customer one day, telling her he's sick of her using his cups rather than her own. The whole thing came off so cheap and tacky, I stopped going there for coffee. If the owner is upset about buying 5C cups, he's probably cutting corners in other places too. Burnell Productions in Renton, just outside Seattle, constantly lie, cheat and steal from their customers. When confronted, the CEO pleads poverty and needs money to pay bills. The CEO was declared bankrupt in 2020, wiping the debt he had on 13 credit cards. Meanwhile he, the CEO, also has a condo that he hasn't paid his mortgage on for almost a year. Then there's over $40,000 spent on a mobile game, which he does not acknowledge, because he has an addiction problem. People who sell weed, you text them, ask if they have weed, they say yes. You ask them to meet you or if you can go to them and buy some, they say yes. You ask where or when etc. They don't reply and you don't hear from them again for a few days. One of the best things to come out of legal weed is the customer service aspect of people not having to deal with local drug dealers as much. Quotas. From car sales to banking, they always incentivize the worker to lie, cheat, discriminate and provide the poorest service possible to make the numbers look good so that upper management doesn't fire them. If you do your job perfectly but don't try to cheat the numbers, then you look like you're underperforming compared to the ones that do, creating a feedback loop ensuring that everyone who wants to have a job cheats. There ought to be a law category, free trials that require a credit card, and which do not auto-expire. Ridiculous. It's a transparent bait and switch. If you don't think they will buy it for the advertised price after a free trial, then maybe try something more honest, like metered service. Beware of consignment stores, people. Those store where you can buy used clothing for cheap and also can take yours in to be sold. There may be other kinds I don't know of, but the big red flag is if they do it like this. They offer an agreement when you sell through them that they get a percentage of the sale price. But after a certain amount of time, if the item hasn't sold, it becomes their property and they get full profit. But they allow you to come reclaim your item anytime before that deadline. Ask them if they would assist you to find your item in the store should you decide to reclaim it. If they say no or offer an excuse like we don't itemize so you have to seek it out yourself, then do not do business with them, they are a scam. One example in my town is CJ's Consignment. Not every item may be scammed like this, but they may occasionally pick a high dollar item and decide they want the full profit. All they do is hide your shit from you. Maybe put it in the back or somewhere customers don't have access to. If you can't find your item, then you can't reclaim it in time. They did this to me with a dress. Kind of hard to miss a big gas gown amongst shirts and pants. And then after my deadline, My dress magically reappears now property of CJ's. Even former employees started sharing stories online of how they would hide people's shoes or bags or whatever so they couldn't claim them before the deadline. Only trust a consignment store that will help you reclaim your item. Or better yet, don't do business with any that have deadlines like that if such a thing exists. Making people pay a hidden additional fee for buying an out-of-state newspaper. I worked at a convenience store that charged people 50 cents extra and there was no signage for it. I don't know if they still do this. The liquor store down the street from my house sells a liter of gin for the exact same price as 3/4 of a liter of the same kind of gin. Somebody has got to have noticed by now. It's been like that for over a year. There's this newfangled online grocery store move. If you order something and it's not in stock, they give you a store credit instead of a refund. So many things wrong. How is their inventory management so bad that they don't know what's in stock? Anything which supports the customer is always right. It encourages and rewards abusive and often illegal behavior. Employees deserve protection from Karens and Karens deserve consequences. I worked for a company that had sales. They just took discontinued products that wouldn't sell, push them to the sales floor, and put a sales tag on them without a discounted price. They saved them 4 holidays because they knew people would believe they were sale and buy them at the original price. How many software companies are using the subscription model now where instead of buying it once and it belonging to you, you have to pay a yearly sub price? It's bad enough how quickly they replace everything, but this sub model sucks. Oracle software. Oracle is a technology company which uses its one feature product, their database, and uses that product to drive sales and adoption of a slew of inferior garbage software through incredibly restrictive licensing terms. Mark Benioff, founder and CEO of Salesforce, has a net worth of $8.8 billion, and that is almost exclusively due to giving the market an alternative to Larry Ellison's corporate extortion machine. The Spectrum Stadium in Philadelphia has a deal with 2 towing companies where they intentionally make event parking difficult, resulting in people getting towed. They split the fines. This includes directing people to overfilled lots hoping you get frustrated and park on the side. Directing people to lots not for the event like the Chicky and Pete's restaurant parking. Removing the handicap signs so you can only tell by the painting, etc. My friend dated a security head there who said the Spectrum gets almost $100,000 extra a year from their cut of the fines. I managed an accounts payable department that was always getting blasted for paying invoices late. The thing is, we were improving every month and got our paid on time percentages to an average level for that kind of business. I could not figure it out. Then the entire department got moved to the other side of the country and an ass ton of money was thrown into the department to fix it. My last week in a conference call I found out that the company would only pay invoices on Wednesday and would pay invoices due that week. So if an invoice was late on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, or if that week it was counted late, my department could have processed every damn invoice on time and 42% of them would still pay late. That company was a subsidiary of one of the largest corporations in the world, and under that leadership, put in place a year before I started, shrunk by half in the following 2 years. A veterinarian I once worked for tried to make me reuse bloody IV tubing between patients. Just rinse it out, he told me. He charged the same amount for a pain injection for a £5 pet and a £150 pet. He overworked and underpaid his employees. He was rude to his clients and tried to make staff carry out tasks they were not qualified educated to do. He would cut corners in any possible way. Several of us reported him to the board. Any business that has a multi-level marketing structure is terrible. Yeah, it's a pyramid scheme and most people are getting screwed over. Restaurants in my mind should operate different from what I know. The cooks do a lot of cooking, cleaning, dishes, etc. and get paid hourly. Then the waiters and waitress carry the food to the table, bring the dishes back, and wipe off the table. Sometimes the waiters and waitress will come back and brag about making more tip money in a 1-5 tables. Maybe just 1-2 hours, than the cooks will make in a 8-hour shift. The cooks then keep cooking, cleaning, and doing dishes. I find it strange. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.